Hello and a very warm welcome to this live coverage of day 2 of the India-Pakistan match from R Premadas Stadium. That's where the match is happening in Colombo. We are here with the live coverage in the studio. The play was called off yesterday after incessant rain, and weather prediction today seems bleak as well. In fact, as we speak, it's raining heavily in Colombo. The covers are back on, and I'm seeing visuals of the stadium at 1:40. All the covers are back on and it is pouring there. In these moments, all one can do is keep their fingers crossed and hope that we get a game. But what happened yesterday was that India were 147 for 2 in 24.1 overs when rain stopped play. But I can tell you with absolute certainty that Indian fans were pleasantly surprised by India's positive approach against the dangerous PAK trio. And both Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill showed that this attack can be tamed. So Jamie Alter joins us here to look back on India's performance and also what we can obviously expect today, that is if rain relents. Jamie, this is this is again a frustrating moment because we're all trying to just figure out whether we're going to get a full match, whether we're going to get any overs in at all. And it just takes me back to that same conversation we had where we discussed this, right? That maybe this wasn't the right thing to do, to have Asia Cup in Sri Lanka, because no reserve day in Colombo can save India even today or Pakistan because it's raining there. Let's go to Jamie.
Yeah, good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to our viewers. Nothing really good from an Indian cricket perspective because of the visuals which we can all see, which is being put up by the team. It's just not good, and something which has been really dogging this Asia Cup. But again, like we've discussed before, what was the other option? Bangladesh is not seen as a viable hosting nation. It doesn't have the infrastructure that Sri Lanka has. Sri Lanka has more grounds, easier connectivity. Easier from a broadcaster setup to have it in Sri Lanka. The only other logical place to hold it would have been the UAE, but like we discussed a few shows ago, based on reports, a lot of the players, a lot of the teams did not want to play in that scorching heat. So what option really was left? Because you couldn't do it in India with the build up to the World Cup. So on somewhat short notice, Sri Lanka was the only place, But again, Barish is always going to be around Sri Lanka. There's no real perfect time to play in Sri Lanka. It's unfortunate, people can go after the ACC, but what was the option? We just have to accept it, move on. And I'm just looking at the points table. In round 2, India don't have a point yet. What will 1 point do? Sri Lanka picks up another win, and it's curtains for India as far as the final goes. So very, very bleak today. We knew the rain was going to be worse than yesterday. So from an Indian perspective, of course, scheduling, of course, the reserve day fiasco. But beyond that, unfortunately, because of playing some average cricket until now, they might be facing a very uphill challenge to make the final.
Okay, so for all of you who are joining us right now and wondering whether we are going to get a match today, let me just first inform you that the weather is bleak. It is raining there. It rained in the morning for a couple of hours. Then it became bright. But once again, in the last 15 minutes or so, it has started raining. The covers are back on, and what this means is that we may not have the scheduled start. Chetan Narula also joins us here on the show. Chetan, your reaction to this, that despite having a reserve day, and we spoke about this yesterday as well, that today there is 90% chance of rain again. So in all likelihood we may not get a full game. This was meant to be a dress rehearsal for all these teams, but more so for India, because of so many players coming back from injury. And here we are in a situation where we're not getting any match time.
Well, hello, Meha. Hello to Jamie, and hello to all our viewers. Well, yes, it's an unfortunate situation that India were looking to get some match practice under their belts, collective belts for the entire team. Ahead of the World Cup, this is, making a bit of a mockery of that. But again, rain has been around for the last 150 years of international cricket. So this is beyond anybody's control. It's an unfortunate time to be playing cricket in Sri Lanka, but there was no other option. There was the only other option was to not play the Asia Cup. But look, the Asia Cup is played not because India needs to, India needs to earn money off the Asia Cup by playing Pakistan. India doesn't need that money. BCCI doesn't need that money. The only people who need the money are PCB, Sri Lankan Cricket, Afghanistan Cricket Board, Bangladesh Cricket Board, Nepal Cricket, and the other affiliates of the ACC. Star Sports as broadcaster, they also need that money. So because all of those people needed the money, and because India under no circumstances can go to Pakistan, and obviously the players did not want to play in the UAE because there's a World Cup coming up, there's a high heat in the UAE. So there was no option but to host the Asia Cup in Sri Lanka. So by this way, at least they're getting their money. They're at least getting their money, the advertisers' money, the broadcasters' money. It's unfortunate the matches aren't happening, but there's nothing much that can be done about this situation, considering the whole political scenario, considering the whole financial scenario. So it's just unfortunate.
I've got to ask you this. What happens now if this match is washed off? Then on the points table, how does this impact India?
I remember talking to Jamie on Friday when they announced the reserve day, and I categorically told him then that as soon as Sri Lanka win their first game, if it doesn't rain, India will be looking at elimination. And like Jamie said, India could get 3 points if all their 3 games are washed out. Sri Lanka already has a win. All they need is a curtailed game against Pakistan. And if they beat Pakistan, which is, easier said than done, they will be in the final. But otherwise, it just depends really what's going to happen. So India's only hope is to get those 3 points. And even if the games are washed off, and hope that Pakistan beats Sri Lanka, all of this is not in our control. The rain is not in our control. The financial situation is out of control. But you can save yourself embarrassment. There was no need for this reserve day and, cause or inflict more pain on yourself in case that embarrassing situation does play out. Because, mind you, despite the reserve day for India-Pakistan Super 4 game, if India does not make it to the final, it's going to be widespread mockery of the ACC, and we know who is involved over there. So this is a situation that could have been avoided. You can't avoid not playing in Pakistan. You can't avoid playing in Sri Lanka. You can't avoid anything around it. You have to host the Asia Cup.
Yeah.
But you could have avoided this embarrassing situation of having a reserve day just for this particular game. Could have been easily avoided.
Because I don't think any of the member nations, Jamie, are going to take this lying down. As much as they know that India is the big boss, there can come a moment when India might need them to be on their side. And I feel like what you've done with this, getting a reserve day just for India-Pakistan, is that you have created that us versus them divide. You've said that, look, we are the dadas of cricket, which you may be. But what you've also done is that you've told the others that, all that matters among all the ACC nations is India and then Pakistan. And I don't know if that's a good feeling. Now, I am sure today, as we have this conversation, I'm 100% sure that, Sri Lanka is watching this, Bangladesh is watching this, and they're saying, what's the point of this reserve day? Anyway, just before the start of play, it's pelting down in Colombo as we speak. And we're not going to get a scheduled start from the looks of it. So what have you done?
Just like Chetan said, you made a mockery of it. We have no reason to be surprised by this decision. But coming back to the question you raised, I think barring Pakistan with a somewhat vocal president and enough fuel now in the last couple of months to speak out, I still don't see Afghanistan board, Sri Lankan board, Bangladesh board saying anything, because they've been, again, this is just the latest chapter. It's perhaps one of the most sloppiest, mismanaged decisions, but it's not the first time that India have snubbed these boards. But the boards, they're so beholden to the BCCI that they're never going to vote. And again, I'm guessing that what you were implying was when you said that they need them, you're talking about votes, right? They're never going to go against. They're never going to go to the BCCI because they've been ample opportunities in the past 25 years. And I'm just speaking this time that I've been watching the game closely, where they could have gone against the BCCI and they won't. That takes nothing away from the fact that, like we're discussing,
but Jamie, that's my other thing. That you're just being an annoying big brother. You can be graceful about it. You can Yes.
Yes. This is the angle that we should be discussing. You have been big brother for many times, but in every family, one big brother gets to a certain age, and then the middle brother or the younger brother becomes big brother, right? What we are seeing the case in now is it's still big brother, but another brother has come in, and unfortunately, he's just not equipped to be the big brother. I'm not saying it's negative or positive, but he's just not equipped. And I go back to this being the most shambolic administration that I have seen. It's a big statement because there have been enough fiascos. I'm not saying this is a rare case. There have been plenty of fiascos. When Meha, you've covered BCI, we've all covered. You more than me at least. We've seen the kind of characters, the kind of mismanagement, but it is this arrogance that the word you just used. This is it's not even misplaced arrogance because in their mind it is justified arrogance. But the more you keep pushing boundaries, the more you keep ticking people off, it's not going to paint a pretty picture for anyone. This is a fact we have to accept.
Okay, now Ashwin, I'm going to try to put that picture that Ashwin has tweeted. And again, it's the same thing where he's saying he's put a picture of covers being on. So it's the stadium, and he said there is some time for chai and Rajasa's songs in Colombo. I seem to have lost that picture. But yes, as of now, it's raining. So if you all are wondering what's going on, whether we're going to get a game, for now, it doesn't seem like we're going to get the scheduled start because it's been raining since morning. It's not that it's just started raining there. It's been raining since morning. It stopped for a while. And then we had a lot of reporters who put out pictures of, oh wow, sunny Colombo. And then sure enough, after 1 hour, that changed to dark skies and rain at the moment. So will we have it? Nobody knows whether we're going to get a full game, whether it's going to be a curtailed game. We'll let you know. But let's just talk about what happened yesterday. Rain curtailed what was shaping to be another gripping match, but not before India openers Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill put on a century partnership. After Babar Azam opted to field, Rohit and Gill added 121 in 16.4 overs while taking on Shaheen Afridi inside the power play. Gill was the initial aggressor, throwing Afridi off his line, and then even at one point he walked down the track to hit him over his head, and then Rohit started to play his shots, hitting 4 sixes in his 49 ball 56. Rohit there had torn apart Shadab Khan, whose first 2 overs went for 31 runs before he fell to the leg spinner. Not long after, Afridi returned for a second spell and outfoxed Gill, who made 58 of 52 balls. At the moment of Rohit's dismissal, India's run rate was touching 7.4 an over, which dipped to 6.08 when rain interrupted the innings in the 24th over. Virat Kohli was batting on 8 of 16 balls, and Rahul, who got his chance shortly before the toss when Shreyas Iyer was ruled out with a back spasm, was on 17 from 28 in his comeback innings. So what we saw, despite that being a rain-curtailed day, was absolute statement of intent from the Indian team. Chetan, Jamie and I on the show, we've been discussing this for a while, that the turnaround that India needs right now is that kind of turnaround. And I think Indian fans, cricketers, everybody involved with this Indian team emotionally would have loved what they were doing yesterday. Chetan, that was exactly the way to start against them. I mean, I don't think any one of us would have expected that. We knew that they would have come in possibly with a better intent. But having said that, despite, Shaheen Afridi not having the greatest of days, it was really India's counter-attacking start, that put him off even more.
Well, let me begin by humbly, bragging a bit that I explained on this show last week how you want to tackle the Pakistan paces when you had put up that question. Don't give away wickets to Shaheen and attack Naseem Shah. And I think Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill. This show is on YouTube, right? So probably they were watching it in Colombo. So jokes apart, I think that plan, the execution of that plan, just to tackle Shaheen, watch for that early swing, then play some attacking strokes. And again, just go on the offensive against Naseem Shah. I think that just worked to perfection. And they showcased that when you attack Pakistan like that, then when they fall back on their second choice attack, third choice attack, or their spin option, there isn't much there. If the drinks break hadn't happened then, Shadab Khan, I don't even know if he would have bowled his next over. Shadab Khan was being taken to the cleaners. So this was a well-executed plan, probably the most perfectly executed plan that we have seen India execute in the last 3 months of ODI cricket, or whatever you want to call it. This was absolute perfection. And most of all, we need to thank Nepal because it showed the value of what we have been talking about again and again. It showed the value of having that match practice, the number of overs under your belt, scoring runs under your belt. Rohit Sharma, Shubman Gill had a great outing against Nepal, and they just carried on that momentum into this game. They were not looking like the batsmen they looked in the Caribbean, in the West Indies. For me, that was the biggest positive. Even KL Rahul started off really well, although Virat Kohli was a little sluggish, but probably would have taken off as the innings would have progressed. But we won't know anything about that. But just from Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill's perspective, they just executed it perfectly. And more importantly, they're back in rhythm.
How much of a difference did that make, Jamie? The Nepal game, as Chetan was saying, match practice, you're coming in. Obviously, I think that it's also a lot of it has to do with how you feel psychologically when you've batted. It could be a team again like Nepal, but the fact that you look like you're fluent, you look like, okay, I think I'm hitting good form, that helps going into the next game, because the way Shubman Gill batted yesterday was also beautiful to watch.
Absolutely. The Nepal match, see, like we discussed after the match against Nepal, and then also it was not a statement win in entirety because you did not bowl them out. Like I said, if you were chasing 145 after bowling them out for 144, that would have been a statement win. But the openers, to their credit, they did whatever was required that day, right? They attacked, they played shots, they faced enough balls to get some momentum, match momentum. And then in the intervening days since then, of course, we know there was an off day. Shubman Gill had his birthday. Rohit Sharma announced the World Cup. But they obviously trained really, really hard, especially Shubman Gill. Rohit and Virat skipped one optional practice. But we've seen the visuals, we've seen the images of Shubman Gill trying hard, countering left arm swing, then rocking up to the PC the day before the match and talking it. And come match day, they both played outstandingly, right? We all know, we've been saying this, that, Shaheen Afridi will have a bad day. But look, for Rohit Sharma to flick that first ball of the match for 6, right? That was not where the match started to shift, but it was a sign that, today could be different. I'm going to give more credit to Shubman Gill for hitting 6 fours of Shaheen Afridi's next 2 overs, right? There were a couple balls on the pads, but Shubman Gill using his crease, that walkout shot when he hit the guy over his head, to hit, this fast bowler who we've all been building up, as the greatest thing since sliced bread, to suddenly hit him for 31, it just changes the dimension. So full credit, like Ketan said, to the innings they both got against Nepal. Full credit to the way that Shubman Gill, because we've seen the visuals, slogged and slogged and slogged in the nets, outdoor, indoors because of rain. Then to implement, to channel the form that they both picked up from the Nepal win, to channel that into the nets, and then to put it out on a match, a massive statement. And again, that break, had Rohit not played that fairly loose shot to Shadab, who knows? These guys could be batting and the score could be 165, 170 when the rain came. It's just, I've been saying, I think we all sort of touched upon this. Probably the better approach would have been to, just see them off. Not only did they see them off, they attacked. And to attack Shaheen Afridi to 3 overs, 31 were his figures. Outstanding batting.
Okay, now I'm getting some visuals on Twitter. Let's put this one up for all of you to see that this is just some time back. If I could just play this to just show you that it's raining there. If our camera person can even zoom in here, sir, is there a possibility? So it's raining. That's what we are getting now from Colombo. And there's every chance that the start will be delayed. The covers are back on. It's been raining all day. So, you'll also need some time for the ground to dry out, right? You cannot have, the expected start if it's already raining. So, it doesn't look good. And hopefully, miraculously, if something changes, then we'll let you know. But just coming back to to both Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill. And I want to talk specifically about Shubman Gill a little bit more, Chetan, because of the kind of preparation that he's had. He's very specifically said this, that he's prepared against left-arm pace. So they've got a Sri Lankan throwdown specialist. He's a left-arm pacer, and he has been bowling to him. And I'm sure he's bowling to everybody else. But, you know, there is this thing where everybody's talking about how in the nets you see Shubman Gill batting against him a lot more than everybody else. And just this understanding that he has that, you know, okay, I know that this is going to be one of the most important matches right now in my life. I know that the most dangerous bowler is going to be Shaheen Shah Afridi. So I'm going to make sure that I have all bases covered before I go out to face him. I also love the calmness that one saw in Shubman Gill, in the way he was facing him.
I think obviously he's gotten the brief when you're playing Pakistan that you need to prepare in this particular manner, and we have talked about how Rohit Sharma prepares for Shaheen Shah Afridi. He has that Yorker fuller delivery in the back of his mind, but he's not expecting it every ball. I'm pretty sure he's passed on notes to Shubman Gill being his opening partner, because obviously they're tackling the same bowler at the same time. So it's not surprising how Shubman has gone about it, because obviously he's been in a sort of an up and down form for the last 2-3 months, especially post the IPL and coming into the World Cup. The importance of mindset that Rohit Sharma has also talked about in the past, that also is not perhaps lost on Shubman Gill. Probably in the early half of the year, he was peaking a lot more, probably, a little too early for our comfort. But now with this, confidence building couple of knocks that he's played, maybe that peak will come at the right time going into the World Cup. And there is too much significance attached to yesterday's innings, because yes, the innings against Nepal was probably, a glorified match practice outing. But this knock against Pakistan, against Shaheen, especially when you're working on a particular thing and it works in a high pressure situation against the bowler that you have been preparing against.
Okay,
that builds up confidence. So I think in that particular aspect, I think that will really benefit Shubman Gill, especially as he looks to build on towards the World Cup.
Okay, the Pakistan team have arrived at the stadium. I was just looking at the visuals. So I don't know which is a happier team going into today's reserve day, Jamie. Is there a team that feels like, okay, maybe we've been saved? Or because Pakistan did make a comeback, they did get the openers out, within the space of 8 or 10 deliveries. But is there a team between the two?
I don't know whether they'll actually be happy, because definitely India needs these points.
Yeah, you
can look at it both ways, right? From going from 7.37 per over at the moment of Rohit's dismissal to slipping to 6.08, definitely Pakistan wrested back the momentum. The way that Rohit Sharma, and I just want to add one thing which is remarkable about Rohit Sharma. He went 7 overs without adding a run. Okay, he was on 10. He stayed on 10 for 7 overs. In those 7 overs, he faced 13 balls and could not add a run. So from there, to watch Shubman Gill, but then for him to change around a 7 over, that's a lot of overs in a one-day match to not score a run. The way he took on Shadab, he clearly saw Shadab was the weak link. Right. Now, why I referenced that was Shadab goes for 19 in his first over. He goes for 12 or 13 in his second. But he's persisted with after that break, and he gets the wicket. So given that, for Shadab, he'd be the happier person. For Shaheen to also come back from a pretty poor or a very poor opening spell and to take out Shubman Gill with that slower ball, there's enough reason for Pakistan to be happier. But I just think that given Virat Kohli, the need for runs, the need for him to get runs, the need for Virat Kohli to just spend time at the crease, for him to be cut off, I don't think he'd be very happy. Rahul coming back in a match he was not slotted to play, looking good, 17 of 28. I think probably India would be the slightly unhappier team because of what they stand to gain from KL Rahul and Virat Kohli spending time at the crease.
KL Rahul, yes, I want to also ask about KL Rahul. I know it was a brief stay, before rain stopped play. But how impressed were you with him, Chetan?
There was this one moment, there was this one moment, Meha, that really stood out for me. He tucked the ball. I think it was his. He was already scored 5-6 runs, but then he just tucked the ball towards square leg, and then he just started running very quickly, and then he came back for a double. He called for the double, and he came back. And those 2 runs were the most important for me in the short, brief KL Rahul innings, because he ran very quickly without any discomfort. This was not a guy who had a thigh issue or a groin issue recently. So he looked properly fit, properly able to run, properly able to construct an innings. I think on a day when Shreyas Iyer had a back spasm, which was a really worrying sign, this was something really positive on the fitness front, that KL Rahul is absolutely fit. If they are in the same playing 11, then Ishan Kishan will obviously keep.
Yes.
But what happens when Shreyas Iyer comes back, that's a totally different debate. KL Rahul obviously was not, as we discussed at length yesterday, he was not in the first choice playing 11. So, but the big matter is that he is fit and raring to go. And yes, the brief innings, he did look good. So probably an opportunity missed there. But for me, the fitness bit was the most important thing.
Look more fluent than Virat Kohli, Jamie?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Chetan and I were having an offline discussion on this very same topic. You can see the result on X yesterday. But yeah, look, he just very, very positive. And Chetan is right. That second he took, the 2 he took was, I think he'd hardly faced, 4 or 5 balls. So, in a bigger scheme of things, how would we ever say, he took 2? But from where he's coming from, very, very good signs. And he looked good. In fact, he looked, we've talked about, we often bring up how his stats are very good across the last 2 years. The strike rate has actually dipped. But when I was going through the stats yesterday in more detail, he's come in a couple of times when the situation has been bad, right? So in a certain period, the strike rate fell to about 64, 67. But that's because, the situation has demanded him to play that way. And we all know KL Rahul has the skill to accelerate. So he doesn't, I'm just trying to join Rohit's comments about him wanting to get back to that 2019 form. KL Rahul, as brittle as he's looked in recent times, if he can just convert this, and he's had 24 hours now, whenever he comes out to bat, he'll have had that much time to reflect on those 17 runs. They probably feel like 34 runs, given where he's coming from. I think he just needs to bat the way he's been batting in the last 2 years. If you can get to 35, 40, and if Virat Kohli hangs around, India has depth. Ishan, Kishan, Hardik Pandya, Jadeja, on his day, Shardul. So there's enough of a cushion behind. I just hope KL Rahul is not overanalyzing too much and just sticks to the template which has got him all these runs at number 5 in the last 2 years, because he looked good yesterday.
Yeah. What didn't look good was Pakistan on a day when Shaheen Shah Afridi does not have a good day. And that's where, that's a big point than one got to see. That, and a lot of people would say Naseem Shah was really unlucky, because there were times that it looked like he would have got a wicket, but it was one of those days when India just had the luck on their side. But having said that, Chetan, I feel like the importance of Shadab Khan becomes even more, right, on a day like that when Afridi has an off day, because what you saw was Shadab Khan getting tonked around in his first 2 overs and then him coming back to get Rohit Sharma's wicket, and that worked in his favour because from there on his bowling also improved. But I feel like then a lot will depend on how Pakistan bowl in the middle overs if one of their bowlers has a bad day, fast bowlers.
Yes, and we had discussed this in the preview to the tournament, that probably Pakistan have a weakness towards the middle overs, and the fact that they do not have a high value spinner. No disrespect to Shadab Khan, no disrespect at all. But to me, it appeared that if he hadn't picked up that wicket, he probably would have retired from ODI cricket yesterday, because he was going to be smacked around really badly. And for me, it was much a braver call than anything else, to be honest. It was not a strategic call for him to keep bowling, because whatever bowling options, spin bowling options they had, they were worse than probably what Shadab can bowl. So Babar Azam probably did not have any other option than to bowl Shadab. And because there was this drinks break, because there was a break in concentration, break in flow, and Rohit Sharma just played a half-hearted slog and got out. So, but again, coming back to the point, maybe there's a case here for Pakistan to revisit the strategy in terms of how they use Shadab, how they use Harris Rauf, and in fact, how they use Naseem Shah and Shaheen Afridi. Is it the right move to use both Naseem and Shaheen in the first 10 overs? Is it right to give them lengthy spells? Yes, Shaheen bowled only 3 overs, but on a day when he's been taken for 30 runs. If he had not been taken for 30 runs, would we have seen him bowl 4, 5, 6 overs, as is the norm? Same goes with Naseem Shah. So probably there's a case for Pakistan to revisit how they use those bowlers in the middle. Shaheen bowled only 3 overs and the wicket. That is why Shaheen was able to come back and make an instant impact. But if he had bowled 5, 6 overs, he would not be bowling in that 20 to 40 over mark. So again, like I said, a case for probably Pakistan to revisit how they want to use those particular bowlers.
Okay, so for all of you who are wondering whether we're going to get a full match today, this is the news from Colombo. It's pouring at the moment. Covers are back on. It doesn't look like we'll get a match start at the scheduled time because it's been pouring non-stop. So the weather once again is playing spoil sport. And it almost seems like everybody other than the rain gods have conspired to get us to play this India-Pakistan match. Of course, the organizers did, ACC did, Mr. Jay Shah did, but the rain gods are not relenting. So it's pouring at the moment. And the weather forecast for the evening doesn't look good as well, because these showers are only to intensify after 6:30 p.m. The other video from another channel that I was watching that is there in Colombo is of the Pakistani players. So there's Mohammad Rizwan walking up to the dressing room along with Babar Azam, and they both are seen joking, saying we should be swimming instead. So that's what's happening in Colombo. This is both Babar Azam and Rizwan saying this in a video that's going viral now on X. But Jamie, it doesn't look like. Yes, Chetan, you want to make a point?
Just very quickly. The good thing is that we can wait till 10:30 p.m. for a 20-over game, because yesterday they extended the waiting time on the particular day from 60 to 90 minutes. So the cutoff time is not 11:30 p.m. but 12 a.m. midnight. So I mean, it could change today, but yesterday that was it. So we can actually wait, as per that logic, we can actually wait till 10:30 p.m. To get a 20-over game. Obviously, it doesn't look very optimistic because of the 6:30 p.m. shower, but you know, you want to hold on to any hope of having a game.
Okay. So yes, Jamie. Go ahead.
So the other thing is India have to play Sri Lanka tomorrow as well, right? So the longer this match goes, right, that team is going to be fatigued tomorrow. So it just goes back to where not so subtly reserve day. What is it actually going to gain? You could look. I mean, yes, we can wait till 10:30. Does the Indian team want to wait till 10:30, play a match, get home and close their eyes at 3 a.m. and come back and try and play the trickiest team of all with an eye on the final? So no matter what you look at it, you know, do you want the 1 point or do you want to try and push for a match but wait until the same day as the next match? It's just stacking up very, very awkwardly for the Indian team, I have to add.
What do you make
Which
of...
makes it even worse.
Yeah, okay. Now, I was reading this since we're, we're just talking about, the lead up to the World Cup. And what do you make of Venkatesh Prasad's tweet, guys, about the organization, about how this tournament is organized, the organization itself, ACC, where he said, it takes one corrupt, arrogant guy to take away the hard work of an otherwise non-corrupt organization and spoil the reputation of an entire organization. And the impact isn't just micro, but at a macro level. This is true in every field, be it politics, sports, journalism, corporate. Now, he's talking about, of course, the Asia Cup. Jamie, do you have any thoughts on this?
Look, I think the wider issue is that for someone who was rather inconspicuous on Twitter, now X for a long time, to suddenly this year start to have things to say, I just sort of question the motive, right? One of the people who was handling Venkatesh Prasad's Twitter account for the longest time, not anymore, has been in the news for all the wrong reasons. So, but when that kind of template is set, I just, as someone drawn to pessimism on the brightest of days, I just wonder how much of this is a tweet from the said person whose account it is, how much is it an agenda that has to be pushed. So I just don't know how seriously we should be taking these tweets. And we saw the way that Venkatesh Prasad went after KL Rahul and Rahul Dravid some months ago, right?
Yeah.
Was there an axe to grind? As journalists, we all obviously start to do some digging around. We find out certain things, we add two and two together, and suddenly why Venkatesh Prasad is going on about it becomes obvious. I just don't know how much of it, how much of it is actually his view, how much of it is an axe to grind. I just don't know. So my brain always gets stuck there. How much should we analyze what someone is tweeting?
Who's at an advantage if this match is reduced to 20 overs, Chetan?
Not Pakistan for sure, because India got off to a really good start, and they just lost 2 wickets, 18th over, something like that, and they had 8 wickets in hand when the rain came. So I obviously am not an expert at DLS calculation, but by my reckoning, Pakistan will be left chasing 170, 175 if it's a 20 over game. People on social media were saying 181. I don't know how they arrived at that particular number, but it could even be as high as 180. So, with moisture around, obviously India will not be happy to be fielding immediately because the outfield is not pretty healthy at the moment. And I think that's going to be a big worry for India. But definitely chasing 180 in 20 overs is not going to be an easy task if the match does get started.
Of course, as we've been saying, this is a dress rehearsal really for the World Cup. And I want to ask both of you, that given that this is a dress rehearsal, given that India hasn't had too many chances because of the weather, how would you look at India's, India's performance yesterday with the bat? Because we've been talking about that turnaround. We've been talking about, has India got the momentum? Do you think this would have given them that momentum? Jamie, let me begin with you and then I'll come to Chetan.
Yeah, obviously, like we discussed, when you get nice 50s against Nepal and then you translate that into far more robust, far more stirring 50s against this Pakistan attack, you have gained a lot. And let's hope that something happens like I discussed. Very, very important for Virat Kohli and now KL Rahul, especially given the doubts over Shreyas Iyer's future heading into the next month's World Cup. If KL Rahul is going to be suddenly playing a lot more matches, he needs time to find himself at the crease and to rediscover that touch. So in that sense, India have a lot to gain. I think they've gained a lot. Yes, they were stalled just when the things were looking like it could perhaps, I'm talking about Virat Kohli mainly, strike rate of 50, but who's to say that he wouldn't have got a couple boundaries 2 overs later and things would have got better. So from where they were, India probably felt, like I said, they'll be the unhappier side. Yeah. But given the problems they have, they need as much time on the park. But like Chetan just said, would you want to field so soon given the conditions? Unfortunate, but like I said, do you want the 1 point or do you want to push for 2 points so that you actually have a much better chance? If it comes down to 3 points from 3 washouts, not the way you want to go into a final, right? If at all you reach that final.
Absolutely. Yes, Chetan?
Well, we talked about, last week about how India needed to raise their passion and intensity. And given the way the openers started, it certainly seemed so that they've been working on the mental aspect, especially, and been training really well, weather permitting. So from that perspective, it looked really good. But one of the experts on the broadcaster's show was saying, Team India has played really well today. Literally only 2 batsmen batted. Virat Kohli and KL Rahul, we can't really count their contributions. Yeah. So 2 players played really well on the day. Those same 2 players really played really well against Nepal. The rest of the side really didn't play well. And against Pakistan in the first game, maybe 2 other players. So overall, from that perspective, we have, last week we had 2 batsmen in form, Ishan, Kishan and Hardik Pandya. This week we have 4 batsmen in form, Rohit, Shubman, Hardik and Ishan. We're still waiting to see India's bowling in full bloom or, bowl in tandem, get those wickets, look in rhythm. So from that perspective, I think we're still waiting for that. And I'm not sure if we're going to get an opportunity for that. But if we can say from 2 informed batsmen to 4 informed batsmen, maybe a bit of progress.
Okay. You were wondering what's the weather like right now in Colombo. These are visuals from news agency ANI. And if you look at that, it's raining and non-stop. Though it's reduced. It's a light drizzle, as you can see from those visuals. But having said that, it is still look at that. It's dark and gloomy. The clouds look like they're going to burst any moment. So what we're seeing is possibly not just a late start, but also we may not get a full 50 over game. But then again, we've seen stranger things happen even when it comes to weather, right? So we'll wait and watch out for what happens next. But just coming back to the game, I was wondering, Jamie, how do players deal with this? And I know we've had these conversations every time we're all waiting for the match to start, but I don't know. I don't know if it's just so easy to switch on and switch off. You know, when you look at the weather and you feel like, yaar, nahi hone wala hai aaj match. Itni barish ho rahi hai, you don't know. It's like us, right? Where the moment a match is stopped, if rain stops play, we're like, now we don't know whether it's going to happen, whether it's so. How do you switch yourself on? And do you think these players are able to do it?
It's obviously a very individual thing. I don't think in the history of rain delays and rain interruptions, you're ever going to find 11 players of one team all approaching it the same way, right? When we sit and watch at the ground, like we've all been there, you can pick up certain things, right? I'm very fortunate, like all of us, to have started my career in this line when things were far more relaxed, right? I can give you Irani Cup examples. I can give you Ranji examples where during said delays, you had the chance to pick up a ball and give throwdowns to Piyush Chawla when he was playing for Central Zone. You had the option to go in the basement of the Chinnaswamy and play TT with a young Virat Kohli, right? So having just observed these kind of things, you see that it's very individual, right? But of course, when you're playing in the Asia Cup, you're playing for your country, the stakes are very high. I just think their experience tells them, yaar, ye 2 ghante ka hai aur ye kal hi hoga, you know. Then they're allowed to crack jokes. You see some players, they go inside and all we see of them on TV is them with their headphones on, their AirPods on, and their feet up. Then you see some who sit outside the whole time. They're cracking jokes. Rohit Sharma, Suryakumar Yadav, Akshar Patel. So I think by this time they've experienced
okay,
this so often
Jamie,
at
just
the
let's
domestic
listen.
level.
Sorry, I'll have to cut you here. Let's listen to some of the fans.
सुबह मौसम साफ था, खिला हुआ था, धूप निकली हुई थी, बट जैसे ही 2 बजे मैच शुरू होने का टाइम आया तो बारिश फिर दोबारा प्रकट हो गया. लेकिन बस फैंस के लिए बहुत दुख हुआ, मतलब अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है. इतना बड़ा टूर्नामेंट है और बारिश का साया मंडरा रहा है.
ये मैच का एक अलग ही वो होता है, मैच होता है, लेकिन हमेशा मैच अधूरा छूटता है.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, क्योंकि हर एक फैंस मायूस होता है, हर एक बंदा देखता है. कल सुपर संडे था, बहुत वर्ल्ड वाइड लोग टीवी से जुड़े हुए थे, स्टेडियम में भी काफी लोग आए हुए थे. हम भी इंडिया से आए हुए हैं, हमेशा टीम के साथ जुड़े रहते हैं. तो बट बड़ा दुख है फैंस के लिए. बट ये मैच होना चाहिए इंडिया पाकिस्तान का, दो बारी आमने सामने, क्योंकि बहुत टाइम के बाद इंडिया पाकिस्तान आमने सामने आता है. तो ऐसे टाइम पे अगर मैच पूरा ना हो तो बस दुख तो होता ही है. बिल्कुल, हम तो देखो कल भी पूरा एंड तक बैठे रहे हैं, रात तक. आज भी अभी आ गए हैं मैच से पहले, और जब तक देखेंगे क्या अपडेट रहती है. मौसम साफ रहता है और कुछ मैच हो जाए, ओवर्स कम हो जाए, लेकिन मैच ये होना चाहिए आज कंप्लीट. तो बस यही कहेंगे कि बेटा टीम इंडिया, भारत माता की जय. इंडिया 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 इंडिया, कम ऑन इंडिया.
There's something that's got to be said about these fans, is this absolute passion. बारिश होती रहे, 2 दिन हो जाए, reserve day हो जाए, उस दिन भी बारिश हो जाए. This relentless support for the Indian team, Chetan. And I know that, you know, it surprises us because we sometimes see this and we say, oh, the team's not playing well, why is it that fans are still after them? But they are. They're there to support them, and it doesn't matter. They'll brave the weather.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, fans are the heartbeat of Indian cricket, and by that logic, they're the heartbeat of global cricket, because it's the Indian fans who keep Indian cricket running, despite the fact that they can't buy tickets, they can't book flights and hotels, they'll lose lakhs, they'll lose time booking tickets. I mean, 5-hour wait to book a ticket online for the World Cup, if at all you get to that position to book a ticket. So, hats off to them. There are relentless approach to supporting this team. कि नहीं देखना है वर्ल्ड कप तो देखना है बस, चाहे कितनी भी वेट करनी पड़े, कितना भी पैसा खर्च करना पड़े. But the guy's gotten clever, he used to paint his body, now he's got that special t-shirt made
with Dhoni written on it.
He's painting his face still, but he's gotten clever with that t-shirt, and so kudos to him.
Haan, Jamie.
Just very briefly, and there's a difference between these kind of fans and the ones who take to social media. This guy is not one of those, so he should be probably the spokesperson for the ACC for some time now also.
The social media fans are not going to watch any of the games. They're just sitting there, cribbing about everything and everyone. That's what the social media is for. But Jamie Otter, Chetan Narula, thank you so much for joining us here. The news from Colombo is not great because it is raining there. The slight drizzle, but it has been raining since morning for a while. There's a bit of sunshine, but as of now, the covers are on and it doesn't look good. But hopefully, we'll get something. We'll get at least 20 overs because the cutoff time is still 10 p.m. India time. So let's see what happens there. That's it from us. News 9 Live is what you need to subscribe to for all the latest. For now, goodbye. Thanks for watching.